Now, from Louisiana's news channel, this is 9 News This Morning.
Here at the 6:30 half hour, we're looking ahead for you at the coming days. The Baton Rouge community, of course, honoring 3 fallen law enforcement officers, Officer Montrell Jackson, Officer Matthew Gerald, and of course, Deputy Brad Garofalo. They're going to be remembered as heroes who loved their jobs, loved their communities, loved their families. The first funeral is taking place this morning at Healing Place Church. Lauren Westbrook is live and has more on how Officer Gerald is going to be remembered today. A lot of folks coming out, and as you said earlier, a difficult day, but one of unity, Lauren.
Yes, Matt, something that Officer Gerald's wife said he would have loved to see in his community that he served. Now, people are starting to arrive here at Healing Place Church. Officers and some of the people setting up in the sanctuary. We're told it can accommodate 2,800 guests, and we are expecting far more to be here today. Officer Gerald going to be laid to rest in the Louisiana National Cemetery in Zachary, but ahead of that, there will be an 8 o'clock visitation followed by an 11 o'clock funeral service here at Healing Place. A lot of people wanting to know about that procession to follow. Well, we are told, and we have a map for you on the screen, that the procession will leave Healing Place on Highland Road to the interstate, take Interstate 10 to Interstate 110, and then exiting 110 onto Scenic Highway, making their way to the National Cemetery there in Zachary. Police are asking if you do decide to line the streets to do so safely, and that's what makes their job easier today as they honor one of their own, as the entire city honors a man who served as a veteran, a police officer, a husband, and a father. Matt, back to you.
Well, Westbrook live for us this morning. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Deputy Brad Garofalo and Officer Montrell Jackson, of course, going to be laid to rest as well in the coming days. Services for Deputy Garofalo getting underway tomorrow. It's going to be at Struma Baptist Church. Visitation, you can see, starts at noon. The funeral service will follow at 2 o'clock there in the afternoon. Officer Montrell Jackson will be laid to rest on Monday. Relatives, colleagues saying their final goodbyes to him there at Living Faith Christian Center. Visitation is going to run from 9 to 11. You see the funeral service will follow at 11 o'clock as well. If you cannot make it out to honor these officers, WAFB will have live coverage of all 3 funerals on air and online. You begin watching those services for Officer Matthew Gerald 10:30 this morning. Of course, all the information and details of the weekend vigils is posted at WAFB.com. Diane Deaton, of course, we need to figure out the forecast as folks make those plans.
Yes, indeed. As you're heading out the door, a couple of reminders. It's going to be very hot again today. Yesterday had a heat index as high as 106 to 108. Heat index in triple digits again today, and a slightly better chance of rain today. Be careful out there in the heat.
There you go, Diane. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We're looking at a multiple camera array. You don't need to focus on any one camera. This is I-110. All of these are of I-110, the MLK Memorial Freeway, I-110 at 22nd Street. Just show you all of those camera shots along I-110 between downtown and the airport. Looking really good. No issues with traffic. 6:35 is our time. 25 before 7. Matt, 25 before 6. Matt. What?
6:35.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Johnny, thanks. Well, it's a very special but a heartbreaking gift delivered to the families of the officers killed in Sunday's ambush attack. Trey Gannell designed caskets for all 3 of the slain officers. He traveled in from Texas, arrived in Baton Rouge yesterday afternoon, dropped off Matthew Gerald's casket there at Rest Haven Funeral Home off Jefferson Highway. Gannell donated the caskets. Donated. Says each one is unique and it's based on the officer.
Seeing what was going on, I just felt compelled that, you know, this is something that if they would have it, I would definitely want to go ahead and pay it forward to the families to be able to represent who they were.
Here's a look at what they look like. Painted blue, got an American flag on top. They also have special symbols in honor of each officer. Pretty special. Well, this attack has not only affected law enforcement, but doctors who were involved as well. Surgeons at Our Lady of the Lake had to react and do their job in a very tense situation. Dr. Stuart Caton and Tomas Hakume say they will never forget the chilling call that day. On that day, they were told there were multiple gunshot victims, 4 officers injured, 2 patients already at the hospital. They helped treat the 5 patients brought to OLOL. It's the area's only designated trauma center. Surgeons say this was, of course, a tough case because they worked pretty closely with a lot of these officers and deputies.
Nurses that were crying. We had police officers that were crying. We had, people that were very stoic and were almost in a state of shock. But everybody did their jobs and did them well, very well.
Doctors and nurses say they're still, processing what they witnessed. They're all trying to heal themselves. They say tributes outside of the hospital and some kind words from hospital staff really all over the country are helping them get through it. Local law enforcement will get some help from the federal government to pay for police overtime. $650,000 in additional emergency federal funding is coming into Louisiana. Congressman Garrett Graves and other state leaders securing the money from the U.S. Department of Justice. This money should help offset a bit, potentially millions of dollars in costs racked up by law enforcement in the aftermath of the shootings. That includes the costs of overtime and the cost of having officers patrol in pairs.
Without these funds is that we likely would have to go in and rob other accounts, which would prevent the ability for the law enforcement agencies to provide things like bulletproof vests, things like weapons, things like helmets, training, and other important resources for our law enforcement officers, and really compromise their readiness for any future incidences.
Families of the fallen officers will also be eligible for money from the feds. Each could receive more than $300,000 from the federal government, possibly another $250,000 from the state of Louisiana as well. Many people right now, though, turning to GoFundMe accounts or local fundraisers to help those families. Well, on Monday, you can also help out by dining out at some restaurants around the capital city. More than 70 places will be donating 25% or more of their sales to the families. Again, a lot of restaurants taking part in this. You can check out a full list at the website, WAFB.com. Donald Trump stepping up the attacks against Democratic rivals as the Republican National Convention wraps up how he plans to unite the GOP. A live look at it's the old bridge, the US 190 bridge into and out of West Baton Rouge Parish. Things looking okay right now. And of course, how about a live look for you? Well, there's Tiger Stadium bathed in blue overnight. And of course, you can still see a bit of that this morning as the sun comes up on the capital city. 6:39.